Welcome everyone to Pep Orfield's Creations Studio. You can also find me on Facebook as the World Turns, Musing in Wood. Welcome. It is election day, and that is all I'm going to say about it. Um, this is a diversion from election day. Let me adjust my camera a little bit. Let me bring it down some. Hopefully it will stay where I want it to. And have it flipped around, hoping that it's not backwards, but I think it still is backwards. Oh well, we'll deal with that later. We are live. If you have joined my channel right after I first started it, I had made a mistake of making it for children, and which means that you can't have chats and stuff like that. So I have changed that setting, and if you want to chat or get reminders, unsubscribe and resubscribe. And if you want to get reminders and you just joined, just hit the bell. Please feel free to drop me questions on chat. I will look up occasionally from time to time just to take a look. Doesn't look like anybody else is on except for me, but that's okay. I'm still having fun doing this. It feels like it's 200 degrees in my studio right now. I get the afternoon sun in the French doors and it gets warm. I'm sure that'll all soon change with winter coming. So anyways, I have had taken a break for about 2 weeks, having some issues with a sore neck and some other things like that. So I haven't been making my videos. If you've been watching or the live events or following along with the videos, I've been working on a beer mug, which is really just a prototype right now, but it has turned out really awesome. The picture that I had on the beginning of this, the thumbnail, is a picture of that mug. It is also posted on my Facebook page. I am actually making something similar to that as a gift for a friend, for a gift that he wants to give out. So I have several of those to make, as well as a few other things. What I'm going to make today, I don't know yet. I mounted a piece of wood which is a bit off balance, so I have to get it turned down some. I know a lot of wood turners will say you got to have it balanced first before you start turning. Yeah, this works too. To each his own, I guess. Which kind of reminds me, I was on a wood turning page the other day, and a guy posted, he's been turning for a couple of years now, and turned out some really nice things. And he started watching YouTube videos on how to turn, and started trying the techniques, the proper techniques, quote unquote proper. And everything he's turned since he's tried doing that has turned out as scrap wood. My take on that is do what's comfortable for you. Yes, there's proper techniques, but it's not just about proper techniques. It's about making the tools work for you and not you for the tools. So I'm going to babble while I'm doing this. I hope if anybody's signed on, you can hear me. I usually try to keep these under a half hour or under 30 minutes. I may go longer today just because it's a diversion. We all need something to keep our minds off of all the troubles or whatnot. So first thing I need to do is I need to put my other tool rest on. And then I have to turn this end down a little bit. I did shave it off a little bit with my draw knife. I also cut a big limb that was sticking out on a bandsaw. I need to get a new bandsaw on my blade, or I would have blade on my bandsaw. I said that backwards. Or I would have cut it more round, but this will do. I can actually turn this at a pretty slow rate, so I'm comfortable doing this. So let's get started. I actually took the afternoon off to do this. So I do hope we get some people joining in. If not, it'll be recorded just for the fun of it. So I'm going to crank this up till it's just about there. Get my roughing gouge, and we'll start roughing this out. I do have my tool rest a little bit far away from the wood. That's on purpose right now because I don't know why. I just felt like saying that. So I will try to think of things to talk about. If you start hearing a lot of clicking, that means my denture adhesive is not working and my dentures are flapping around. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm actually trying something different, and so far it seems to be working. And it's actually a little more comfortable and doesn't have the gooey taste like the other stuff I had. This whole deal with getting dentures, I still think is the right thing to do, since my teeth were breaking eating soft things like hot dogs and noodles. So it's not that I wasn't taking care of my teeth. They just a lot of reasons for it. I'm just at that phase where I'm still healing, and it's just right now painful because I have to get them adjusted again next week. And I just have to get used to them. These are a set of dentures that are basically a basic set. I'll be once I'm all healed up, I'll be getting another set. So I'm excited about that, and only a few more months to go for that. So I'm going to crank this up a little bit. If I do it too far, too fast, it's going to wobble like crazy. I don't really feel like having a lathe tip over on me. Not that I haven't had that done before, I haven't, but I actually do have this bolted into the floor. This is a lathe that I bought off of a friend, or an acquaintance of a friend, whose father worked in as a woodshop teacher, and he had gotten this out of a woodshop, I believe, high school woodshop, I believe in the 40s or 50s. So this thing's quite old. I have modified it a bit to take a treadmill motor because I like the variable speed and high horsepower. But I did have to gear down the motor because it was just going too fast. Faster than what I would ever like. So I do lose a little horsepower in that transition, but I'm actually comfortable with where it's at. I actually had to turn a wood pulley because the old pulley was a V-belt, and this is one of those flat serpentine-like belts, with the ridges on. So this is the slow part. I can only I have to turn down this end first so I can get my tool rest further underneath the wood, because right now if I tried to slide underneath the wood, it would hit. I know this is sometimes can seem like, yeah, I'm a little too fast. Seem like we're watching paint dry, but it goes quick once I get this down some. Actually, I'm going to pause, turn that off, see if I can adjust the tool rest some. No, I can't. So I might as well turn it back on and keep going. So if you're joining, welcome. This is a beautiful piece of machinery. I do need to take it apart, clean it up. Um, I may even repaint it. I am already covered in wood chips. That's a given. I do try to vacuum every night when I'm done, because this being a green piece of apple wood, occasionally you might even get lucky. You'll see a moth fly out. So I don't need any more insects in my house. So I try to clean this up as much as possible. I also have quite a few numbers of wolf spiders. There must be a wolf spider condominium in here. I see them all the time. I don't like spiders. I don't mind them outside, but big creepy ones like wolf spiders, I just don't want inside. And I have sucked up a few with my vacuum cleaner. I need to put little spider decals on it for every one I sucked up, just like they used to do in World War II for the enemy fighters, enemy planes that they shot down. Just because it would be funny. So once I get this turned down a little bit more, I can crank the speed up a little, and it won't be quite so boring. I do need to pull the tool rest in towards the wood. I can't move it back the other direction, but I can pull it towards the wood and get a little more cutting done. I don't want to risk the tool catch. All right, now we can start turning some more. Oops. Got into the habit of turning power off to the motor when I'm adjusting things, just because I don't want any accidents. Well, my wife said no accidents. We've had enough of those. So, got to do what she says. I was turning a candle holder the other night. You could see some videos that I've done on those. Candle lanterns is what I call them. And I have to turn those in the dark so I can see how thin I'm making them. Well, I was turning it and doing a finishing turn, so I had it at a relatively high speed. And my tool caught and broke a piece off, and it went whizzing past my head. Kind of lucky it didn't hit me, although I had safety glasses on. I've been trying to find a face shield. They are impossible to find right now. I don't know why. Why would that be? I'll make do for now. Take my chances on that. I used to wear a respirator when I was doing this, and I would wear at least a dust mask when I'm sanding, but it depends on the wood. Apple wood, especially with it being green, I'm not allergic to, and when you're turning it like this, it doesn't create a lot of fine dust. Although I'm sure with me yapping the whole time, I'm probably sucking some of it in. But it would be really hard to hear me if I had something over my mouth, especially with dentures in. I just had a piece break off. Yay, that's less to turn. Anyways, if it's a piece of wood I'm allergic to, like oak, I will definitely put a respirator on. I got a button up my shirt. I forgot to do that, and now I'm getting chips down my shirt. They get itchy after a while. Oops. Can't turn it up yet. The adjustment on this is a little touchy. I do need to reprogram it a little bit more. I have a display on it, but the backlight to it went out, so I have to take it apart and figure out why that happened. It doesn't show me speed, but it shows me the duty cycle going to the motor controller. I do want to put a sensor on so I can detect RPMs, just so I have a frame of reference. But I'm kind of comfortable as to what speed I want. So knowing the exact RPMs really doesn't make that much of a difference to me. I turn with what I'm comfortable at. And I know some people are stickler for, doing the right cutting at the right speed, or the right turning at the right speed. Again, to me, that's just technique, and it's not. I don't know. A difference of opinion on that. Picasso didn't stick with technique and look at some of the works. Maybe that's a bad example. But if you stick with techniques, then you're not always being creative, perhaps. Now, do I want to learn all the techniques? Certainly. Would I use them all? No. I can tell you it took me 2 years to learn how to use the roughing gouge. And I may not even be using it correctly, but I think I'm using it correctly. I can tell you that one of the issues I had with it was the bevel on the tip of the tool wasn't right for the way I turn. So me being me, I changed the bevel till it felt right, and I've been able to use it. Does that make me right? I don't know. We can debate about that. I know I'm comfortable with it. It works for me. You can show me the right way to do it, and I may still go back to this way. I don't know. Maybe I won't. Kind of like back in the day when I took computer programming. It would be back in 1987. Programming on a mainframe, and the teacher said, trying to think what language it was, COBOL, I think, said you have to use a Go sub. You can never use a goto. And I'm like, well, I can save about 100 lines of code if I use a goto. Well, gotos you take the risk of locking the system in a loop, and then you're stuck. It's like, but I'm saving 100 lines of code, and space is valuable. That doesn't matter. The proper technique is to never use a goto. Okay, well, for a grade, I will not use a goto, but I will disagree with you. And I think, there is some merit to that. Yes, there are chances of doing things not the way technique shows you, but I gotta adjust my tool again. Oh. So I think I have clearance now. I do, so I can move my tool rest over and start working on the rest of it. So I need to went too far. So let's see if I'm cleared. I am. Still want to work on this piece. So I have to pull it closer. Oh, bear with me a sec. And I gotta get a drink. So let me step away for a second. And I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I have issues with dry mouth anyways, and now to put denture in my mouth as well. Well, that's just an accident. Insult to injury, maybe. All right, so let me get, dogs are outside barking. I wonder if the mailman's here. So I am actually waiting some tungsten carbide cutters for a tool so I can rough out with tungsten carbide, which means I probably have all new stuff to learn. But that's okay. So if you notice, I'm not really putting a lot of pressure digging into the wood. I just like to take it easy. So get started on this again. I'm going to move back a little bit further away from the end of the wood and move back towards the front of it. We'll get there. And what I'm planning on making is a coffee cup, so I'm actually wasting a lot of wood in doing so, because I'm not making one as thick as this, but we'll get there. I have all night to do this. I will probably take a break for a while, but I do plan on revisiting this later tonight because we need something different to do. Election is going to happen whether we watch it or not, so does it help us to actively watch it? We're not going to know the results for several days anyway, so I don't know. I have no desire to watch it today or tonight. I'd rather be doing this, and if I can get one or two people that don't feel like watching the election want to watch this as well, then so much the merrier. So I do need to get a sharper bandsaw blade, a new bandsaw blade. The other ones are not sharp anymore. And I need to, I never did put the lower guide bearings on the bandsaw, so I do need to fix it. I need to fix a few things on it. It's one that I actually put together myself. It does work well, although I need to complete it so it works better. It's just I have an idea of how I want to do it, and I have most of the parts to do it. I just haven't found the time. It is actually quite large. I can do up to 140. Now, I use a 144-inch bandsaw blade, and right now I can go up to a 26-inch deep cut, tall cut, not deep. So, which is why I did that, because I wanted to be able to cut big blanks for turning. And I didn't want to spend $1 bazillion getting a bandsaw to do that. So I took the old Craftsman bandsaw that I had and made one that works for me. So if anybody is out there, just say hey. So I know that you're there. Sometimes I seem like I'm lonely, like nobody's watching or nobody wants to watch me. I don't care. I'm just kidding. It'd just be nice to know if somebody's actually there watching live. Again, if you have any questions, I do look up from time to time. I try not to do that while I'm turning, obviously. Down the shirt again. I do wear a white button-down shirt because that does help keep most of the stuff out from behind my t-shirt. Not always. If you want a hobby that makes a lot of mess, this is one of them. So I'm going to have to move the tool rest soon because I'm too far away from my cutting surface. And please keep all arms and hands inside the ride until the ride stops. So I can move it over a little bit more. Pull it close. I think the mailman's here, which means he has my carbides. I don't have a lot of clearance between the wood and the nut for the tool rest, but it does clear. So I'm going to loosen this and draw it closer. This has a, oops, I was going the wrong way. That's why I was at the end. I want to draw it closer because I'm at the end of its reach. And I don't like have it in it, even though it's pretty thick. I like to have it a little closer. That would be my tailstock. Tighten that a little bit. All right, let's crank this thing up. We're all tight. Yeah, I can go a bit faster now. Oh, maybe not. I start having things drop on my feet from the shelf on the bottom. I'm already at 28 minutes. Glad I'm staying on longer. I used to rough out wood with actually a chisel that I made into a turning tool. I can hear some wood turners cringe with that because the chisel is not high-speed steel. I know. But it worked for me, and I had it, so I didn't have to buy it. For me, it's about being thrifty, being cheap. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. You don't have to always have the super nice to make really nice. I'm sure sometimes it helps. Me, I prefer to make my own stuff. More fun that way. And the only reason I got this is because it was such a good price. And I had to rebuild my the original one I built anyways. So why not get this? It also came with some tools that I found useful. Yeah, I kept it out of a landfill, so I'm sure somebody would have bought it. And so I turn it up just a little bit more. You know, they can make a wash machine auto balance. I wonder if you could do the same for a lathe. What I need to do is work on this end so I can. Yeah, this part is kind of boring when you're roughing it down because it's a little bit longer since you have to go right in the mouth. Should I shut up? Somebody tell me that. It does take a little bit longer just to get it roughed out. And once you get it balanced and round, oh my, can you fly. So my goal here is to turn a cylinder of some size, cut a piece off that I want for the coffee cup, and then we'll go from there. I'm hoping I can finish it tonight because it won't be a super huge project. And for a handle, we're going to use some polished aluminum bar, which I think will be cool. I have this laid out in my head as to what I want it to look like. So will I be successful? Maybe. The beer mug I did turned out awesome. I'm still playing around with some options for the handle and stuff, and some mistakes I noticed I made. Design flaws, maybe. So I can fix those and have a really decent thing for the guy that wants them. I assume I'm streaming. It's always hard to tell. I'm going to slide the camera down a little bit so I get more of the action. I just realized I wasn't quite centered. Take a sip. In fact, I should let it spool down so I can readjust the wheel or the tool rest. All right, so I said I need to take this apart and clean it. The tool rest and stuff sticks to the undercarriage of the lathe, so it can get hard to turn or adjust things at times. I should have nipped that off. I'll take care of that quick. So after Christmas, I'll tear it apart, give it a good cleaning and polish and shine and whatnot. Oh, good. All right. Tool rest is nice and solid. We'll get her going. Get her cranked up a little bit more. Once I get that little piece of stuff sticking out, twig sticking out right here. Down the shirt again. That's a big piece. All right. 2 in a row. So I do also, on this controller, I want to build in, once I get the RPM gauge on, then I can build in a feedback so I have constant speed. You can see, after I put some pressure on this, the motor wants to torque up a bit. That's just the voltage surge or whatever you want to call it. I don't remember the electrical name. As you put more strain on the motor, it pulls more current. So then when you let go, it has that extra current sitting there. So what I want to do is, with an RPM sensor, I can programmatically adjust the speed so that it stays mostly constant. I could probably mess around doing it electronically, controlling I could do it by controlling the current, but it's a little easier just controlling the pulse width modulation or the duty cycle to try to keep it the same. It'd be an interesting challenge. I don't know enough to really safely control the current. We are actually getting close to being balanced. Turn that down. I can pull this closer. So when I cut this tree up and cut the pieces, I tried to make straight cuts, parallel cuts. I did not succeed. So if I were a little more careful about that when I go get more wood this weekend, I won't have to spend so much time trying to balance this stuff out. I was also in a hurry when I cut this batch. And by myself, which I don't like doing. I don't like cutting trees down by myself. Even though they're small apple trees, this was actually just one branch. This may have been part of the trunk. I don't remember. Still, I don't like doing it, using a chainsaw by myself. Neither does my wife. In fact, I'm banned from cutting down any trees at her house when she's not home. I did that shortly after we moved in. I didn't hit anything. Actually got the tree snagged up in other trees and got my chainsaw wedged in the cut. So it took me forever to get it cut up. But I did. I was probably fortunate because the tree was pretty close to the house. I have this attached to the lathe with a faceplate and 4 construction screws. I don't know if that's the right kind of screw to use or not. I've heard absolutely no to drywall screws, which I can understand because they snap easy. I just haven't seen anybody say which is a good screw. Which is a good screw to use to attach a faceplate. I tried using I've tried several different things. This actually works best until I get it roughed out, and then I will cut a tenon so I can pop it into my chuck. In fact, I may do that here sooner rather than later, just so we can get this going. So I want to go about here. I might be able to turn this up and get past the vibrations. There's usually a spot where it vibrates really bad, and then it, there we go. As you get to a faster speed, it tends to level out. I just want to cut this down a little bit. Then I'm going to use my cutoff tool to cut it off. And, I'm going to make a tenon on it first, and I'll cut off a piece. I usually make enough tenon so that when I cut it off, if you're a woodworker or wood turner, don't look. I know this is a no-no. It's actually a handle I made out of ash. It works good. I like the size of it. It's comfortable in the hand, and just wish it were a little bit longer. Ouch. Piece of wood dropped on my foot. A little bit more on that. Like I said, this is a messy hobby. Not a frugal use of wood, but you can turn out some cool stuff. That's what I mean by it's spooling up on its own. So I usually don't do this, but in the interest of time, I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut. And my phone's ringing. I'm not going to answer it, but I do just want to see who it is, and I'm going to take a quick drink. Be right back. right, so I'm back with my cutoff tool. I'm going to make my tenon. Not the right way to do it, but I know about the size of my chuck, so it looks to be about the right size. I have a lot of times turned a tenon for my chuck and oops, I'm a little too big yet. Put it back on, oops, I'm a little too big yet. It happens. All right, so I'm going to turn it down. Go over and grab my saw quick because I can cut it down with the tenon, but it's easier just to use a saw. Yeah, I know, not exactly wood turning, but pull that off real quick. Make sure I got power off to the motor. And right down the center, I got flat surfaces, mostly flat surfaces on both sides. So this is a cool little Stanley draw knife that came with 3 blades. I got it at the local hardware store. I just love it. This blade especially, use it for everything. It's not a fine cut, it's a rough cut, but it cuts through quick, and it's a draw cut, so you're cutting when you pull instead of when you push. Especially outside when you're doing yard work and stuff. Just want to nip off a quick branch or something. But I've used it a lot for turning, doing things like this or what have you. So I'm turning it so I can try to make sure this is a straight cut down so I don't have a crooked tenon at the base. Makes it lining up a little bit easier. So I am through. I can pull this back. I'm going to take off the faceplate, put my chuck in. So bear with me. I'll be right back. Pull my shirt tail out. Get the wood shavings out of my shirt. I'm gonna put this down here. Other pieces of wood that I have laying around. Put my headset back on to talk. I'm gonna pull this off the lathe. So I need my little wrench, which is underneath my tablet. And I can usually just twist it off. Oh, come on. You'll be contrary on me today. There we go. All right. Faceplate's off. My tenon's a little on the smaller side, but it still fits the chuck. You didn't see that. Sometimes I'm glad nobody's watching. Or maybe they are. I don't know. I haven't figured this all out yet. Alrighty. Faceplate goes back on here. Joe gets back over here. Get the chuck and thread that on. I was not thinking the other day, last week, I think 2 weeks ago, and thought, oh, I need to cut it just like I was just doing. So I, well, run this backwards, run the lathe backwards, which I can, and just hold my saw on it, which I've done before and it works. But what it ended up doing was unthreading my chuck. And since I had the tailstock on, I had no place to go, and ended up messing up the threads on the insert into the insert adapter for my truck. So I won't be doing that again. I can undo the tailstock. Put my tool rest back in, finish roughing this out to about the size I want. I can actually bring that a little bit closer, because now that we're thinned down, I can go a lot faster. So I should be, yep, about balanced. So we're going to crank this up. I'm going to use my smaller rough and gouge. To remove material. And we'll have fun with it. Do a bit faster than that. I haven't decided what size I'm going to make this yet. Again, I'm not pressing into the wood. I'm just pulling the draw knife along, the roughing gouge along it. The curved blade of it does all the work, so I don't have to. You shouldn't have to actually press into the wood a lot. So I'm going to crank it up a little bit more. And I'm going to have to move the tool rest soon. Tastes like apples, because I'm getting too far away from the tool rest, the tip of my cutting edge. Apple wood. Now this has lost some of its smell since it dried for a couple weeks, but apple wood from a fresh cut apple tree smells like apple. Walnut, when it's green, smells really awesome as well. Norway maple that I have, I tried that and it doesn't smell. Actually has a gross smell. Those are the only live woods I cut so far, or green woods, I should say. I was looking at the screen where it says live, and I said live instead of green. So that's going to have some nice features to it. I'm trying to think of how I can take advantage of those, because they're at what I thought was going to be the bottom of it. So maybe turn a tenon on this side and flip it over, so I can have these in the main part of the cup. I may have to do that, because that is really nice, and I think I may try darkening the grain on this by heating it up. So I'm going to turn a tenon on this side, flip it over, and then go from there. So get this out again. In my shirt. All right, flip it over quick. Then I can turn it down a little bit more, and then we'll work on the inside. And then we'll get fancy with it. So I may actually 3 o'clock. We're good for time at the moment, although I may cut this off in another 30 minutes, maybe, because I want to get a couple other things done and then rebroadcast or broadcast again tonight. I should not rebroadcast. Broadcast again tonight. So I have seen, I think this is a tool they're using. I have seen people turn with one of these, where they're holding the tool kind of like this. I have yet to figure that out. I know it looks really great and it turns a nice cut. I'll probably have to take a class on that one. Would I like to learn how to do that? Definitely, because that's more like shaving the wood off. I remember to turn it off. I never remember to turn it back on. So crank it up again. Get it roughed down, and we'll work on the end. So I don't know if you caught that on the camera. I had it up pretty fast, and you can see these flying over towards the motor. The motor has a fan on it to keep it cool, and I do know that I'm getting dust in there. I do need to build a box around the motor because I want that to last as long as possible. I will say you can pick up treadmill motors for free as long as you pick up the whole treadmill, or very cheap. So I'm not worried about the cost of a treadmill motor. I'm worried about the amount of parts that I have in my yard already from treadmills that I have to get rid of. So we'll lift this up a little bit. And then we're going to take that tenon off and we're start carving out the inside. So I'm using I'm going to use this little tool that I made just because I like it and it works really quick for doing this. I cut my own edge on it and have a cutting edge on the side, so I can take it into the center like this and then just pull outward, and it does a great job at pulling it off. Still catch until it does that. I must not have had it in there tight enough. So I'll try that again. Yeah, that little piece of wood was enough to yank it out of the chuck, so I must not have had it in there good enough. Yeah. So I want to get that dug out as well as some of the center. It makes it easier to use a roughing gouge. I may have to rebalance the outside of this, but I think I will do that. It's unusual that it pulled it out like that. I also need this week, and I'm starting to feel it again. Again, I start doing the insides. So, yeah, I'll do the insides. I can go for a little bit longer. I'm gonna drop that back down because I'm using my roughing gouge. Yeah, I'm gonna have to redo the outside because I messed it up. Messed up the alignment or something. Then I put it back on the chuck. Touch it up a little bit because having it wobble like that is annoying and makes it hard to turn the inside. There we go. So purposefully put this here. And if I was wrong, I was wrong. Wanted to make this so I could just flip it over. A little bit of economy there, but I didn't do it right. No problem. Now I can crank the speed up again. And start working the inside. Raise this up just a tad. I'm now going across the grains instead of with them, or something like that. I may need to resharpen it soon too. I'll switch back to the bigger one for now. I let it cut out the divot in the center and then just work its way over. And switch over to this again. Just make this flat. This works really fast on the outside. I just can't get very deep with it because it makes a hell of a mess. So, switch back to the smaller gouge again. All right, so I am actually going to stop here. I need to give my neck a break. I was actually in a lot of pain the other day from it, so I will reschedule this for it's 3. We'll do later tonight. I'll decide when I want to reschedule it. Probably 6-ish, I think, something like that, and we'll go from there. I think with these this grain on the wood, I think it'll be pretty, especially if I darken it a little bit. So we will get there. You guys have a good night. I will catch you later. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. If you want to be notified, please ring the bell. You guys have a good night and see you later.